All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another session. My name is Jackie, and I presented before to some of you, but to new ones, hello and welcome. Today, we're going to talk about how can technology affect our hands and wrists. So here's some of the topics I want to explore today. So the first one is the relationship between technology use and hand/wrist health, as well as the potential risks and preventive measures, ergonomic practices and exercises to alleviate strain caused by prolonged device usage, and maintaining optimal hand and wrist health in the digital era. So talking about our hand and wrist health, the hand plays such a vital role in everyday life and human interaction. We use our hands constantly, so it comes as no surprise to hear that pain from overuse is common. What is the impact that technology can have on our hand and wrist health? Well, the common use of digital devices has led to increased engagement with screens and keyboards. So prolonged and repetitive movements such as typing, swiping, and scrolling can put a significant strain on our hands and wrists. Um, Furthermore, these movements can lead to discomfort, fatigue, and even more serious conditions over time. And with increased technology literally right at our fingertips, we're noticing an increase in the following three hand issues. The first one is the carpal tunnel syndrome. Second one is tendinitis. I'm not sure how to pronounce this one. And the last one is text neck. So we're going to go through each one of these. So talking about carpal tunnel syndrome, so what are the common issues and risks of it? So defining it, carpal tunnel syndrome is pressure on the median nerve in the wrist, and it can cause numbness and pain. Some of the symptoms that you can experience is weakness when you try to grip an object with one or both hands, as well as pain or numbness in one or both hands. Sometimes you might feel like pins and needles kind of feeling in your fingers, as well as like a swelling feeling in the fingers. And lastly, you can feel a little burning or tingling in the fingers, especially in the thumb and the index and middle fingers. How do you get carpal tunnel syndrome? So the protective sheet thickens. Oh, sorry. Ooh, it moved a little bit. Okay, so the protective sheet thickens as we get older, which decreases the space for the nerve to travel through and eventually leads to compression. Think of a foot on a garden hose. Typically, typing doesn't actually cause carpal tunnel. There have been many studies to prove that. However, excessive typing can exacerbate pre-existing symptoms. People with thyroid disease or diabetes are at an increased risk for developing this condition. Talk about tendinitis. What are some of the common issues and risks? Well, first let's discuss what is it. Essentially, it's inflammation of the tendons, which leads to discomfort and limited mobility. What are some of the symptoms that you might see with this? Pain in tendon that gets worse when you move. You have difficulty moving the joint, feeling like grating or crackling sensation when you move the tendon, and swelling, sometimes with heat or redness. And how do you get it? Well, excessive use increases the friction or rubbing of the tendon against the sheath, and then this action eventually leads to inflammation and pain, especially if the wrist is held in an awkward position. People with thyroid disease or diabetes are also at an increased risk, and there has been a recent increase in younger people getting this pain, which is made worse after texting. And I've actually felt some of these symptoms myself, actually. All right, talking about text neck. So, what are the common issues and risks, and what is it? So, text neck is pretty much a strain on the neck and upper back due to prolonged forward head posture while you're using a device. In some of the symptoms you might notice with this, the sharp or nagging pain in the neck and shoulders, stiffness, tightness in shoulders and neck, leading to a decreased range of motion, intermittent or constant headaches. You can also have a little bit of nerve pain with tingling and numbness in the upper limbs. And you might also get eye pain. And how do we get it? Well, as you can see in the picture, it develops due to poor posture, especially when we're using digital devices like smartphones, tablets, and computers. When we use these devices, it's common to bend our head forward and then we tilt our chin down to look at the screen. And this posture, known as forward head posture, puts strain on the muscles, ligaments, and discs in the neck. So what are some of the potential risks of it? Well, excessive technology use can result in various risks, such as the muscle strain, which is overuse of hand and wrist muscles can lead to strain and discomfort. And the discomfort, it can be from the prolonged device use, and that can cause us aches, tingling, and stiffness. And overall, we can also see a decrease, in productivity because health issues can hinder efficiency and overall productivity. What are some of the tech habits that we want to develop? Well, if we want to prevent developing the syndromes, we can begin by taking note of our habits. How much time are we spending on our devices? Is there an opportunity to send, voice command text messages instead of typing them out, maybe? Maybe our keyboard and mouse in proper alignment with your arms and wrists, or do you schedule rest time from work or your device? So let's discuss preventative measures. To minimize the risks associated with technology use, you can consider these strategies. So the first one is we can take regular breaks. So maybe pause every 20 to 30 minutes. We can stretch, rest your hands and wrist. You can also think of maybe buying some ergonomic accessories, such as ergonomic keyboards, mice, and stands to reduce strain. And you can also maintain a good posture, which means sit with your back straight, shoulders relaxed, and rest in a neutral position. And sometimes out of habit, it can be hard to note these things, but if you're more aware and conscious of them, you can start fixing these habits. So let's discuss some ergonomic practices and why it's important. So creating an ergonomic workspace is crucial because, first of all, our chair and desk height, we can adjust it to ensure that our feet are flat and our wrists are straight. Another thing we can do is the monitor placement. We can position the monitor at eye level to avoid the neck strain, so we're not looking too up or too down. And then we can also change the keyboard position so it keeps our wrist straight and level while typing. What are some of the typing techniques? Well, efficient typing can lessen strain. So one of them is touch typing, which means that we can learn to type without looking at the keyboard to reduce wrist movement. This one can be a little challenging even for myself because sometimes I forget where the position is, so I end up typing something entirely different. Or we can also choose to buy like an ergonomic keyboard, and they have like a specific design where they can promote a more natural hand position. I actually myself, I have an ergonomic mouse, which I can show at the end. What are some of the hand and wrist exercises? So we can incorporate these exercises into our routine. So for the wrist, we can gently stretch the wrist up like this, and then we can go down and then to the sides maybe. We can do finger taps, so we can tap each finger to your thumb to improve flexibility. So like I mentioned before, this is the stretching routine. So we can simply follow this to maintain more flexibility. So the first one is the wrist flexor stretch. So we extend our arm and gently bend your wrist down, like in the picture. And then the wrist extensor stretch simply means extend your arm and then you want to bend your wrist upwards. So you're going to do down and up. When it comes to rest and breaks, remember the importance of them. So you can do the 20-20 rule. So every 20 minutes, you focus on something 20 feet away for 20 seconds. You can also do some micro breaks where you just do some quick stretches and relax your hands during the breaks. We can also have the option to use voice commands, which thanks to technology today, I think it's very easy to use. And by doing so, we can reduce the keyboard use. So we can dictate text and commands to give your hands a break. We can also have voice assistants. So that means that we can use the device's built-in assistants for tasks without typing. Like, hey Siri, and then you can tell Siri to do something for you if you have an iPhone. We can also look at alternate input devices. So the first one is a stylus, which is ideal for touchscreens and it reduces the finger strain. So as you can see in the picture, that's what a stylus looks like. It's literally like a digital pen where you can write things down. We can also use trackables and touchpads, which minimize the wrist movement compared to the traditional mice. And overall, we want to create a healthy device routine. We want to establish good habits. As I mentioned before, it's really important to schedule breaks. We got to set reminders to ourselves to take a break and stretch. We also need some device free time where we allocate periods to just disconnect and give your hands a rest. And some tips to remember, devices are part of our lives. We rely on technology and repetitive tasks to do our work, to play sports and more. And the more we work on prevention and are informed on how to strengthen our wrists and arms and treat these injuries, the less pain we'll feel. Give yourself some downtime and it can be the best remedy of all. Okay, so this wraps up the presentation part. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to learn this lesson with the Cyber Seniors Mentor, you can also always go to our website or call the number listed on the screen to register for a one-on-one phone session. And then we'll also have weekly tech drop-in sessions from 2 to 3 p.m. on Thursdays.